At a time where we all still Wi-Fi-ing each other, this delicious, cozy, warm, vibrant, and green curry is exactly what you need. A warm hug in a bowl. Check it out. Welcome back, food lovers. Today, I'm really excited to share this recipe with you. It's all about little tips and tricks that make it work. And the most important one is making your own curry spice. It's very important to make this type of paste when you want to make your own curry, because it just guarantees that you have full control of how spicy it is, how sweet it is, how tangy, way better than a jar. So the first thing I'm gonna do is start by chopping some lemongrass here. Have this frozen lemongrass. This allows me to keep them throughout the year. It's a great tip to always use ingredients when they're freshest. If you can't, make sure that you freeze them at the right time so you will always be able to use them again. And the first thing I'm going to do is rough chop it. The reason I'm only roughly chopping the lemongrass is because we're going to grind it. So roughly chop 2 lemongrass stalks. They're already fragrant, full of aromas here. And I'm going to use ginger now. For that, I'm going to need just a spoon. This is a simple trick on how to prepare ginger. What I'm going to do is snap it here first. And it was also frozen. The idea is to actually peel the ginger. Rather than using a knife, if you use a spoon, you actually tend to preserve more of the flesh. So just a quick trip. I'm going to go all the way around it. Look at that, beautiful and juicy. And you end up with a full thumb-size piece of ginger here, which I'm also going to give it the chopping treatment. So roughly chop it too. Now, and finally, some garlic. Okay, I've already peeled some garlic cloves. I'm going to use about the same amount as the other 2 ingredients. So I reckon 3 cloves is enough. They're really big, these ones, so that will do. Now, I'm going to grind everything. So for that, I need my trusty assistant here, spice render. You could do it by hand as well, or pestle and mortar if you fancy the workout. So I'm gonna chuck it in. First of all, I'm gonna chuck the ginger and the garlic only. And this is a great tip, actually. You can make this simple paste by just adding some oil and then just freeze it in an airtight container, or for example, some ice buckets. Buckets? No, ice trays. Put them in ice trays with the oil already, let them freeze, and then they're ready to use it anytime you feel like. Ice buckets, what am I on about? I'm going to add some vegetable oil here, your oil of choice. You can use any oil. Because we're going to use a curry for curry paste, you want an oil that will not be destructed by the heat. So canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil. And I'm going to blitz it now. So bring it all together. Look at that. How quick is that, man? So much better than working by hand. Now, in we go with the lemongrass. And I'm actually gonna take the chance to add some color as well. So let's go for some coriander here. Now, at this stage of the cooking process, you can actually add the stalks too, because they had so much flavor as well. So I'm going with leaves to get started. Just wazz it up again. Lovely. It's getting nicely blended here already. Get those beautiful colors. I'm gonna need a pan for this. And I'm just going to drop our curry paste to the pan. I think that will do. Save the rest for later. now I'm gonna put this on the heat. When it's going to start cooking, the flavors are gonna start coming out, and that's when cooking is all about. So, that going. The radio is well in it, so everything's going to start perfuming my beautiful kitchen. While that is going, I'm going to get some spices that I'm going to add to it too. In this case, I'm going to use coriander and cumin seeds. They're very, very fragrant, full of vibrancy as well. And it's the best way to use these type of spices. If they still whole, they actually preserve a lot longer, and the flavor and the aroma, everything is going to work a lot better. So they'll go in as well. Dry heat is perfect for this as well, because it's going to start to allow all those fragrant aromas to come out. And while that's going, I'm going to start working on some vegetables. This is a vegetarian curry. Could be made vegan if you skip the fish sauce, and I'll give you some alternatives for that. But first of all, let's get working with our vegetables. And here I have the most beautiful array of vegetables you can imagine. Look at that. Got all these colors, man. All these peppers, beans, courgette. Everything has different texture, but you're going to add them at certain times to have the perfect delivery for our curry. So I'm going to start with the aubergine or the eggplant. And yes, no jokes about that. No jokes about eggplants here. This is a cooking show. So let's get on with this. I'm going to slice nice chunk here. Beautiful. So it's all about controlling the knife and making them the right size, the size that you wish to cook with here. It's gonna be cut very fast, so I'm gonna go with tiny cubes. No need to be an expert for this sort of thing. Just play it as you see here. Now, beautiful. Can hear that sizzling already, man. I'm gonna take a look at that, actually. Oh, starting to come together already. This is delicious stuff, man. I would bathe in something like this. Awesome, beautiful. Now, we have our vegetables here. This beautiful aubergine or eggplant. Delicious stuff, man. Now, it's not a bitter variety. If you happen to have the bitter variety, just soak it in some water with plenty of salt, and then make sure to rinse it out, man. Just soak it for about 10 minutes, rinse it out completely to remove the extra salt, and you have a beautiful aubergine to cook with. Now, talking about smells and aromas, I'm going to use shallots. It's a perfect ingredient for a curry, which I prefer to use instead of a regular onion. Just as a sort of nuance, a substantial difference when you start cooking with shallots instead of onions. So I'm going to go with one finely chopped shallot for this recipe. Here, I'm only cooking a small portion here. And that's gonna go in with the oil, the garlic and the spices. Right in. Great. I'm gonna stir. Let it do its thing now. As it's doing, I'm going to cut the rest of the vegetables. So I have aubergine already done. Let's go in some beautiful red pepper. I'm just gonna slice it from the sides. This way, I don't have to worry about all the seeds inside. I'll just cut them around. This is the perfect way to prepare vegetables. And I'm gonna go ahead with the green one too. Same thing here. Just through the side. A couple of slices here. That will do. And now I'm just going to slice them again. Small cubes. When it comes to peppers, a little tip is to actually cut them, slice them on this way, and then facing, the inside facing up is the best way to cut them. So if you have a really sharp knife like I have here, you can actually do it the other way too. But yeah, technique, simple technique tip. Always try to do things the same way. Make sure that you're faster at doing it as well. and you have the system. So, chopped green peppers. Beautiful color this curry is going to have. Amazing. It's like a rainbow. And same thing with red pepper. Beautiful. Now, another ingredient that's very similar to our eggplant is the courgette or zucchini. Here, kind of has the same texture. The cooking time will be slightly under. It will cook a bit faster. So it will go just before our eggplant. Here we go. Small cubes. Now, when it comes to cooking, tell you what, keep your senses. Always make sure that you're smelling, make sure that your ears are working too. And now I can tell you, I guarantee you that this is ready for some ingredients. Beautifully spiced now. I'm going to add some extra oil here, just to lace it. And in we go with our veg. So first, the peppers. Look at that. Food rainbow. Let it sweat now. As it's doing, I'm gonna get the rest of the ingredients together. So I fancy even extra color. So I'm gonna go with a bit of yellow pepper here. It's a sweet yellow pepper. This time just sliced. I'm gonna do the same thing with an orange one. Just thin slices. Now, time to check our mixture here again. Oh, it's getting there. I'm gonna go right ahead with the aubergine now. In. As that's going, I'm going to start giving some fragrance. Extra fragrance in this case. I'm going to use these beautiful kaffir lime leaves. Now, this is an ingredient that you can find easily, frozen, in any supermarket nowadays. If you don't happen to have these, I tell you what, it's very difficult to find the exact same flavor from anything else. But let's try to use, for example, fresh lime leaves as well. It's not the same thing, but kind of get you there. If you happen to have galangal, for example, or add extra ginger to it as well, might work for you. Pandan leaves as well. Different aroma, but it has some flavor to it, which is important. So I'm gonna chuck a couple of leaves in. Here we go. Now that's amazing aroma, I guarantee you. Already. Leaves in. I'm going to add some chili too. I have some beautiful, it's a green chili, but it's a jalapeno, okay? And this one has this particular color because it's been pickled. Another way of preserving food, so you always have this sort of stuff at home. So just pickled jalapenos. I like it spicy. I'm gonna go all the way in. It's singing for me. Now, finally, I have my courgettes. I'm gonna go with some beans as well to finish the work. So, beautiful green beans. All I'm gonna do is peel them, try to take the top and bottom at least. Then I'm gonna slice them. So this is just an extra and added flavor to our dish. Also a lot of texture when you use this type of bean. Getting there. Everything's going in now. I think they will pretty much take the same amount of time to get cooked. So everything in now. Now, as those ingredients are getting to know each other, I'm going to add another ingredient, which is coconut milk. This has a beautiful perfume, consistency, and it's going to start becoming green, the color of our curry paste. So, in we go. Now, I actually want it to become even greener than this. And for that, I'm going to use some basil. Get some pieces of basil here. There we go. And I'm just going to blend it with the coconut milk again. Some fresh basil. Now, remove this extra paste. Put that aside. Now, we'll save this curry paste in the freezer for another recipe, but let's get on with the coconut milk. So I separated, it's a can of coconut milk, half will go here, the other half is already in. And the reason why I keep this other part of the coconut for the end is because I wanted to add some extra vibrancy at the end, that deep green color that you want and expect from a green curry. So that will go in the end, but now I'll go in with some basil, and let's go with some coriander too. Let's get in there. My beautiful fresh garden here, full of herbs, ready to use. I couldn't cook without this sort of stuff. It's amazing. Here we go. So I'm going to give it another whiz. We're going for something completely green. It's going to change the dish. I'm not going to add it straight away. Before that, I'm going to season this dish. I have two options here when it comes to how to give you that umami flavor, that is, not color. Add a bit of color too, but umami flavor is all about things that are related to animals. So fish, meat, sometimes you can use mushrooms and things like that, Parmesan cheese. That would also add that umami flavor. But for this recipe, I'm going with fish sauce. Now, if you don't have fish sauce, so if you happen to be vegetarian, try, for example, soy sauce. Let's say maybe coconut aminos. That will do the trick as well. It's up to you, sky's the limit. So this is going to be the umami, and I'm gonna go with a little bit of brown sugar. That will give you some sweetness. And that's the way this dish works. You need a little bit of acidity, a little bit of sweetness, something savory. It's like everything together. Again, I keep thinking of rainbow. That's the way to describe this dish. It's perfect, and it's all about getting that right balance. Give it a quick toss. I'll go in with a tablespoon of sugar and a drizzle of some fish sauce. Let's take a look. Oh, it's getting there. I actually want to taste this already. Let's see. Oh, it's so getting there. The aromas. Now, this is a very quick dish. 2 more minutes and it will be done. It's all about just adding that final touch of coconut. I'm going to season it with a little bit of lime juice right at the end. Taste it, and then I'm pretty sure it's going to be right here. Just a couple more minutes. Now, this curry is nearly done. I have something else that I want to add here. A beautiful ingredient that I love to use as well, just because it adds a lot of sustenance here. In this case, it's going to add a lot of texture too. So it's just some butternut squash that I roasted. Just added a little bit of vegetable oil on top, and then some cumin and coriander seeds again, the very same spices. Just roasted it for about 30 minutes. They are pretty much done. They're not completely cooked. If they were to be completely cooked, you could see the skin would actually become edible. It's not just yet, so for that reason, I'm going to peel the skin here, and I'm going to add it to our lovely curry. Great ingredient to use. Great recipe to feed your loved ones, because it's like a warm hug, like I told you. So, give it some chunky chops. I want to have some texture when you bite into it too. So quite chunky. And that will go into our lovely curry too. Nicely done there. As that's going, I have pretty much 2 ingredients to top and finish up this dish. It's going to be some lime. Quick trick here to release a lot of the lime juice. What I like to do is give it a little pushing here, kind of massaging it slightly. So quick massage. This will help all the juices release from the lime a lot easier. Another trick I like to use is not to cut it into rounds, especially if I'm going to use it just to squeeze a little bit. I like to cut just on the side here, so you keep the core intact. I used to work in this restaurant that used to prepare a lot of Asian food here. And one of the things he told me is that you should treat a lime like you treat people. You should never squeeze it too much, okay? If you squeeze too much out of them, it'll become bitter. And that's the key here. If you see that inside part, it's usually the bitter part of the lime. You do not want to use that. You want to use just the sides, okay? Treat them with care and they'll pay you back tenfold. Now, I think that's enough to get the butternut squash, the final kick in it. I'm going to squeeze some lime juice. Okay, kind of over the place there. So, another quick trick on how to squeeze lime juice. So just use the knife, let it guide this way. So just squeeze it in. A lot neater, right? Here we go. Let's have a quick taste. Oh, pretty much there. A little bit of extra lime. A bit of salt as well for seasoning. And I'm going ahead with the coconut and herb mix. That will give it its final green color. And there it goes. Guys, it's just a matter of letting everything blend for about 2 minutes and it'll be done. And after this, my favorite part, I'm gonna go ahead and eat after plating. In the meantime, let me just tidy up. Talk about delicious goodness here. Just awesome, awesome stuff. Right into the bowl. Now, you can always serve this curry with some bread, like some paratha bread, for example, some naan bread, any type of Indian bread, or just some plain white rice. But I'm going to have it almost like a soup here today, because it's so loaded with all these beautiful vegetables. Now, to top it up, a little bit of fresh red pepper or chili. Just adds a little kick of brightness to it as well, and the freshness. And finally, a bit of basil on top. Look at that. This is what I need these days. Yummy.